And welcome to Health Coach Tip Tuesday. I'm your host, Jess, and this week we have founder of FDN, Reed Davis. How are you, Reed?
Fantastic, Jess. Thank you so much for doing this. You're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you. Reed, you're in San Diego, right?
I'm in San Diego.
How is it out there?
It's amazing. Or as my Mexican friends say, San Diego. Because I've been going to Cabo San Lucas a lot, and I love it down in Mexico. I've been 5 times this year, mostly because my wife lives down there. But yeah, it's really cool. We love San Diego. San Diego.
Awesome. Well, today we have such a treat for all of you who are joining us. Reed is going to be helping us to understand how to clearly explain yourself as a health coach. But we're also going to go into the wellness meter. Are you excited, Reed? I'm excited.
Yeah, it's always good to hang out with you and talk to the folks.
So you guys, if you're watching, make sure that you comment below if you have any questions for us and for Reed while we're on the show. We'll be sure to answer them. And then we're going to send you guys some information if you have any questions about the FDN training, if you haven't been through it. You definitely want to comment and we'll get you connected with one of our course advisors. But let's get right into it, Reed. So I'll throw it to you, right? Like, can you explain a little bit about the wellness meter and how that can be used to kind of help somebody explain more clearly to someone who doesn't really understand what an FDN is or a health coach and how that can help them with their health?
Yeah, sure. Well, one of the things that people don't seem to get, or let me put it another way, a good way to get their attention is to explain to them that symptoms or a lack of symptoms doesn't mean that you're healthy. So if I ask a group of people, and I've done this to a lot of live audiences before, I've said, all right, so everybody, you ever been to a doctor before? And a few people laugh, they raise their hands, whatever. I go, but what did you go for? And the answer is symptoms. So people are, let's just say they're here. This is the wellness meter. Let's say here's no symptoms. And so people think they're fine. And then if I say, how you doing? They go, fine. But if they were down here somewhere, like if, some kind of a symptom, let's just take low energy or fatigue or something. They say, hey, how you doing? I'm tired, or I have a headache, or whatever it might be. And then what most people are doing is getting back to no symptoms. So if it's just tired or fatigued, you were here, now you feel a little low. You might go eat, or you might drink a cup of coffee. And then you get back to here and say, I'm healthy, right? Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
So lack of symptoms doesn't mean you're healthy. Matter of fact, I know, I can remember years ago, this guy, I pulled up, it was, I forget what time during the day it was, but it was around lunchtime maybe. And I wanted a small cup of coffee. So I got myself plain coffee, just a little one. Now, this was a drive-through where people are going through both ways. Like, it's just one of those little shacks. I drove up on this side. Some guy drove up on the other side, and I heard his order. He said, I want a venti, 4 shots. And I thought, man, that guy's self-medicating, right? So he was here in fatigue or feeling low, whatever the heck it was. And he just wanted to get back to normal. He just wanted to get back to no symptoms. And he's drinking ventis in the middle of the day with 4 shots, the extra large kind of a thing. Oh my God. So that's back when I started realizing, look, about their health until they have a symptom. And guess what happens if you do that? Like me, I might even been a little guilty myself. I felt like a refresher, a little 12-ounce cup of coffee is all I wanted. But maybe I'd end up like that guy, because what happens is when you only treat symptoms, pretty soon you're worse and you need bigger symptom removal stick, and pretty soon you'd be even worse. You'd be way down here. And now you're getting diagnosed with something, you're patient. So if all you ever do is just get back to no symptoms, you're not doing anything really to build your health. And so if this is low fatigue down here, Jess, what would this side of the wellness meter be?
Health and thriving and
Yeah. Well, if you take that one symptom, this is low energy, this is high
high
energy.
energy. Mm-hmm.
High genotype. And if this is, like you're not only low energy, but now you're kind of run down, you sniffly nose all the time, you're always getting sick when anything comes along, then what's this? This is really having a really good immune system, high function all the time. And then you got people who are here and they're with diagnosed conditions and they're going for medication. Well, next thing you know, it's going to be surgery. And what comes after that? Like death, like zero function. So if this is dead and this is sick all the time, and this is, run down, and this is low energy, and this is no symptoms, that's kind of not a very good indicator. This is high energy. This is a really good immune system. This is where your cells are actually protected. Like, especially these days, what should we all be doing? Working on immunity, our own really good high resilience and low risk. And then this, of course, is 100% function. I don't know a lot of people at that level, but at least we have a goal. So here's no symptoms, here's high function, 100% function, and all that wonderful health in between. So now that I've said all that, FDNs work here. We work in this area. We don't really deal or don't want to deal much with just symptoms. We're not, people don't call us and say, how do I get rid of headaches or sinuses or allergies or moodiness or fatigue, unless they want to get rid of it permanently. So if they said, well, hey, I'm feeling really lousy, I'm tired, I'm fatigued, I don't sleep, my sex drive is low, I've got all this extra weight and my skin doesn't look good, and on and on and on, right? Maybe even worse, maybe some diagnosed conditions, they're here. Well, we'd be happy to show you how to get here. And so you'd have to go through those phases of like relief care. Once you get to no symptoms, that might happen really quick, by the way, really quick. You'd be really surprised how fast you can get back to no symptoms. Now, the weight gain, I think that's going to take longer, but all we're doing is trying to get you here. We're going to run our labs. We're going to apply the principles of healing, and you can go from here to here. So that's the wellness meter in short, since this is a short show.
Well, this is great, though, the way that you explain it, because, if you guys, you think of a meter being like this, and like Reed said, if you're all the way to this side, right over here, and this is death, and this is full health, and right in the middle is when you're feeling no symptoms, but it's also not when you're feeling extra energy or you're feeling, super inspired or anything like that. That's when you go past the symptom aspect of things. And I think a lot of people, especially health coaches that maybe don't have the FDN training, they do get stuck in the allopathic care where they focus on symptoms and supplementation and focusing on one little aspect. Whereas FDNs, we want to understand and we ask questions, why are those symptoms happening? Because symptoms they're not normal for you being healthy, but they are normal because they are pinpointing opportunities inside for us to work on so that you can get to that side where you're feeling healthy and energetic and your immune system is protecting you. Is that right, Reed?
Absolutely. Sounds like you got it.
We'd love to hear from any of you guys who are watching. If you have any questions about this, if you've gone through the training, have you used this to explain to people? Because it's a very simple way to explain to somebody, and you can draw it on a piece of paper very easily, right? You just have a half circle, put right in the middle, no symptoms, death, health, and then where do you lie in between? Would you even, I've asked people before, like give me your status of how you feel from 1 to 10, right? Mm-hmm. And, if somebody's ailments and symptoms are at a high number, how do we get them to a super low number, right? It's not covering up or masking them. So.
Yeah, obviously, we care about relief care. Again, if you're here, tired, fatigue, headaches, moodiness, irritability, digestive problems, aches and pains, whatever it is, we're empathetic, but we know that just getting you back to no symptoms is only relief care. Matter of fact, that's what most physicians do. They get you out of pain. You can go to different types of practitioners and get out of pain, but that doesn't make you well. No symptoms is not an optimum state of health. So we keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And we know the labs to run to look at the underlying causes and conditions. That's probably our claim to fame is that we've run thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of labs on tens of thousands of people. So we're used to looking at the data and correlating it with the person. And guess what? It usually explains why they feel like this. Like it's right there in the lab results, why you feel so crappy. And so we're not just going to say, oh, here's something to get the numbers back up. It's like how to get your health back up so that the numbers on that test result, they might change, but it's how to get you way up here where you don't need to run labs anymore. You're waking up every day with the highest of energy, a great immune system. Your cells are protected. You're functioning at 100%. Most levels, your brain would be clear. You'd have satiation with life and with all your food, and you'd have all that energy and a sense of well-being, and then you could work on a few things.
Oh, most definitely. We got a comment from Sophie. She said, the FDN way is so powerful. It always works. Literally hasn't seen it fail. Well,
yeah.
It's because we can really work with anybody, right, Reed? Doesn't matter what the ailment is. The principles are always the same, going through dress.
The one rule we have for our clients is that they have to still be breathing.
Very true. So for those of you who don't know, the principles of how FDN can work with anybody, regardless of what their ailments may be, is that as FDNs, we don't work specifically, we work non-specifically. And we have a program called the Dress for Health Success program. And that stands for diet, rest, exercise, stress management, and supplementation. So when you go through those 5 areas with every client, it's not just running the labs and you're not focusing just on their symptoms. You're looking at their whole lifestyle so that you can find ways to kind of better help them get over to the healthy side of that wellness meter.
Yeah, on the stress part of it, diet, rest, exercise, and supplements. Diet, what you put in your mouth, rest, obviously, you got to sleep and rest your soul too, and your mind and your body. So diet, rest, exercise, that's really a simple one. Sitting is the new smoking or something like that. And supplementation, we don't have our own line of supplements, but we know a lot about them. We teach people how to support and stimulate and substitute for what's missing in food, and even self-treat certain ailments. So diet, rest, exercise, supplementation. The other S in dress is stress reduction or elimination to the greatest extent possible. I don't call it management because I just want to manage my stress? No, I want to get rid of my stress, and yet, we get into these situations where it's always there. And so we eliminate the ones that we can, like parasites, bacteria, funguses, viruses, food sensitivities. There's other things around you that you can mitigate to a large extent. Chemicals in the house, chemicals in your personal care products, things like that. So when we say stress and FDN, we're not just talking about you don't like your job or your kids are rotten, or you're arguing about money. We're not talking about always mental, emotional stress. There's so much physical stress from the environment and even from your lifestyle. So it's a very big thing. Anything that isn't diet, rest, exercise, or supplements goes into the stress reduction category. And you'd be really surprised what if you do all 5 together, then you're really cooking with gas. It's remarkable how you can sort things out and improve.
Oh, yeah.
Like Sophie just said, it always works. Why? Because what Jess said, it doesn't work on anything specifically. We're not here to diagnose and treat fibromyalgia, but people with fibromyalgia all get better. Why? Because we don't care about the name of the diagnosis is. We care about eating right, going to bed on time, exercising, reducing all the stressors we can identify, or eliminating them, some of them completely, and then taking your supplements for the extra nutrients and support and stimulation that you might need. So it's remarkable.
Yeah. And I would say that FDNs really sit in that stress, that S in dress, because we're not just looking, like you said, it's not just the mental, emotional, it's not just looking at your external stress, but this is where the labs really come into play, is looking for internal stressors, finding out, like, if you're working with a client and they're coming to you for fatigue, there's so many reasons why they could have fatigue. But if you run a series of labs on them and you can see their hormones are out of whack, their liver's congested, they're not, processing protein properly, that's going to cause tons of fatigue in the body. And so you can really start to hone in with some of the supplementation and some of the other recommendations so that you're doing this individualized for each person. And it's not just a cookie cutter set of protocols that you do for every client, because the same symptoms pop up with very different issues internally. And our bodies just massitize different things all the time. So it's really hard to say, oh, I'm feeling tired. Well, it could be from so many things. But if you check the food and make sure that they're not eating things that they're sensitive to, they're resting enough so that they can get enough sleep, they're exercising appropriately and not over-exercising, then you can really dial in with the labs and the supplements to figure out for each individual and correlate all of that together, right? Like, we can't just look at just one aspect of this. That's why we have 5 different areas, and they're all important.
Yeah, in the areas we look at for that dysfunction upstream, I think it'd be worth mentioning our acronym for that. It's HIDDEN, it spells hidden. So we look at the H hormones, I, immune system, digestion and detoxification pathways, energy production, and nervous system balance. That's keeping your sympathetic and your parasympathetic. So HIDDEN. Most of the answers to chronic stress-related conditions are in those areas. Most of the imbalances. The problem is they're so far upstream. And the other thing is that people are so highly individualized. It's unbelievable how different we really are from each other. And we've been studying this a long time. I've been doing it over 22 years, but I've studied with people who spent whole lifetimes before me, always looking for the underlying causes or conditions. I just was able to come along and look at all these fantastic works of all these great people, and then use the modern technology of the day. We were able to run labs and get in and look at these things that other people were only able to guess about 40, 50, 60 years ago. So it's really quite remarkable. One thing we don't do is treat you like everyone else, because there's so many practitioners out there. I see this on the internet and it frustrates me a little bit. They say, hey, I got a client with such and such. Have you ever dealt with someone like that? What'd you do? They're looking for anecdotes or even antidotes, what person's suffering from. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, whatever you get told is not going to work on your client or on you, because you're different. There's 3 things that could happen. It might work, it might do nothing, and it might make you worse. Just like with taking supplements, we have zero control over what a supplement does. You might feel a little better, get an improvement of some sort. It might do absolutely nothing, and it might actually make you worse because it's not the right one for you. And so that's the other huge thing about being an FDN practitioner, is that you have the ultimate respect for biochemical individuality.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we correlate all of those things. Like, we call ourselves health detectives because we want to gather as much information from a client as possible. And this is something that you can use to explain to a potential client when I'm not just a health coach. I am gathering information in all of these areas of dress. I'm looking for hidden things in the body, and you can explain to them, these are the different areas: the hormones, the immune system, digestion, detoxification, energy production, nervous system. Figure out which things in these areas, the verbiage that you need to speak to the type of client you're talking about if they don't understand one of these. But this is very easy for you to kind of relay to somebody how you look at them very individually, and really trying to find what are all of the patterns for you as a client? So let me look at your labs. Let's look at all of these things and let's find the pathway. And you also have to meet the client where they're at, right, Reed? Like, you can't give them a bunch of things that maybe they don't have access to, or they don't have the ability to do, or they're just not going to implement those habit changes. So you kind of also have to meet the client where they are, because not everybody's going to be, you know, ready to change their entire life just to get to that point of feeling better, unless they're really chronically ill.
Yeah, well, anytime you're dealing with people, you're going to have some challenges. And that's why having a system, step-by-step system, is so important. You can't let the person you're working with run the program. You're running the program. It's your show. It's a system that works if you use the system. So people do have to get a little bit disciplined. You have to be careful who you're onboarding. But where I learned this idea about individuality is one of my first cases that I considered a miracle. Oh my God, it's a miracle. Was a lady who had migraines, and she was basically in a dark room with a pillow over her head 5 days a week. Couldn't. And so ran some labs, found out what was likely contributing or triggering her migraines. Boom. Within just a week, she had no more migraines. Within 2-3 weeks, she was telling me, boy, I only get the occasional ordinary headache. No, I don't think any headache's normal. But for her to go from 5 days a week with a pillow over her head in a dark room to the occasional ordinary headache, it was a miracle for her. So the next person came with migraines, this is over 20 years ago. Boom, I knew what to do, right? Did the exact same thing, did not get the same results, very minimal results. What does that tell you? It tells you that people are different.
Yeah.
And that their symptom could be the same, the symptoms here, but the cause could be any one of a number of things, and the interaction between those causes. So you have the hormones, the immune system, digestion, detoxification, energy production, the nervous system. You have the environment. You have all these influences, hidden stressors and things, all crashing into each other, resulting in migraines. But or take another symptom, as any other symptom you want. But every single person, it's so different. And that's why you need a system that will sort it out. And that's what we created in FDN.
Yeah, and that's so important. Like you said, we are a system, and everything interacts with everything else. So you really can't run the same program necessarily with each person, but you can have the same roadmap to walk down. And I think that's what's so beautiful about what we've created in this program, is that we teach you how to do that. We give it to you, and then it's up to you to figure out how do you work that with each client. And if you follow how it goes in the course, you literally can start working with people even before you start running labs, because just doing the other stuff is always going to make an impact. If you can clean up somebody's diet and get them to stop eating bags and boxes and eating out all the time and all of the garbage, that's already going to make such a huge difference, because they're going to feel better. They're going to feel more energy. And then if you go to run a lab and you run some food sensitivity, you can pull out some things that could be causing issues. But just going through all of the other aspects outside of just running labs, what we've laid out, can be so impactful for somebody, regardless of being able to look inside. Right, Reed?
Well, absolutely. That's what we do. And, you know, it's awesome that we have such an amazing tribe, of which you're, you know, providing some leadership and doing some outreach for us and getting us some really good publicity here, Jess. So I'm really proud of you, you know, because, but that's kind of what happens once you've kind of come into the fold, so to speak. You become part of the, they say tribe or community or whatever you want to call it, you know, but it's people who are on the same mission. One thing we all want to do is help other people. And then we're willing to walk the talk. Matter of fact, those are the two prerequisites for FDN. You have to be, kind of have a desire and passion for helping others. It's very rewarding. Think of that lady who got rid of her migraines. She thought I was a hero. No, I don't think I'm a hero, but she did. And so, you know, it comes with its rewards for sure. not to mention the fact that you can make a very, very, very good living.
Yeah.
One that's going to allow you to live the lifestyle and to live the talk, to walk the talk. You've got to be able to buy really good food and have the time to prepare your foods and have the time to go to the gym and exercises or go for walks or enjoy recreation and get up early and meditate and get yourself straightened out. So FDN is more than just a methodology to get people well. It's really kind of a lifestyle and community, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure. I graduated almost 3 years ago, and I'm sure some of you guys have heard my story on here, but I was dealing with an autoimmune condition for 20 years. And, you know, it wasn't right away when I graduated that I all of a sudden got better, but over the last 2 to 3 years, just applying these strategies, every week I get better, every month I get better, every year I've gotten better. I've gotten to the point where I make all of my food. I go outside all the time. I get enough vitamin D. I keep my immune system nice and healthy. I have my stress levels pretty low, even internally now. And I was able to get off of medications just by applying these strategies and just knowing where to go. And so it's a huge testament to, like, this was the foundation for me to find the cure that they said would never happen for my disease. And I'll never look back. So for me, it's been life-changing, and the connections of community that I've made here also, just the ability to keep learning, because there's always new research, right? Like, there's always new things coming out, but the foundations don't change. You still need to eat good food. You need to eat real food. You still need to sleep and go to bed on time, and you still have to exercise. Like, none of that ever changes. So, you know.
Well, there are natural outcomes for good behavior, just like there's natural outcomes for bad behavior, if you want to just make it that simple and break it down. So, yeah, remarkable.
Yeah. And I think when it goes back to the topic at hand, if you guys didn't see in the beginning where Reed was explaining the wellness meter, you definitely want to go back and rewatch that, because it helps you to explain to other people what it is that you are as a health coach and why they would want to work with you. But also, you need to be able to vet out the type of people you work with. And Reed, you kind of mentioned that. I'd love for you to end on this today of, like, picking the right type of clients for you. You know, if somebody is just beginning to go on this journey of learning about holistic health, they might not be the right type of client for an FDN just yet, because there's a lot of education that you'd have to do with them. There's a lot of mindset shifts they need to have. So what would be some of the things that you would look out for when you are explaining to somebody that might be a red flag that they're not ready to really go down this journey with you?
You know, we really got to do a whole show on that. But people, generally, they've had a health problem that really bothers them for a long time, and they have to really want to do something about it. So if there's something about the way you look or feel that you want to change, then we need to have a conversation. I would want to know, for instance, like how often it bothers you. Is it every day or is it once a month? People once a month, if it's once a month, they generally are not that motivated to do anything. They're not going to hire you. So it has to be pretty frequent. It also has to probably have been going on for a long time. If it's only been going on for 2 weeks, they're not going to hire you because they're probably going to go away, or that's the way they're going to feel about it, at least. Also, what have they tried? I would ask, what have you tried before? Because when you find people who, let's say they've had this main complaint, it's been going on for 2 years, and it bothers them every single freaking day, and they've tried just about everything, that's a pretty good person to start with right there. And then, of course, there's some other questions that I would find out, motivation and what their expectations are, and do they have anyone at home that they might be able to partner with to get some assistance and help and support, things like that. Again, what would be reasonable expectations? And the other thing is, how committed are they? And are they ready to start today? Because I am. With the right person, I'm ready to start today. So they got to be willing to invest. This stuff is not free. It's not expensive, but it's an investment that you have to make. And they have to be willing to start right today, right away. And they have to be highly committed. And they got to put that on a scale of 1 to 10 at a 9 or 10. So we have this whole intake. I'd love to do a show on intake. We'll do a whole show on it.
Yeah, we'll definitely come back to that. Well, thank you guys so much. Reed, let's end today with, if you were in an elevator with somebody and you had to explain to them what you were as an FDN, like 1 or 2 sentences, how quickly could you do that to somebody so they could really get the idea of what it is that we do?
Yeah. I would say that instead of just treating symptoms, we find out what's really wrong with you and help you fix it. As simple as that. Why not get to underlying causes and conditions instead of just continuously taking medication, which probably is going to lead to a downward spiral and cutting parts out.
It's no simpler than that. Love it. Well, great. This has been fantastic, and I hope you guys had a great time watching today. We didn't get a ton of comments, but I think everybody was super invested in watching because we've had a lot of people stay. So thank you all for watching today.
Thank you.
We were talking about the wellness meter with Reed and kind of different ways in which you can clearly explain to people what it is that you are as a health coach and how you can help them. Make sure if you're watching this as a replay that you do comment below, because we'll be able to send you some more information about the FDN course. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ray, for commenting.
Thanks, Ray.
And we'll connect you with an FDN advisor if you haven't gone through our training already. It's a really fantastic training, whether it's to help yourself or other people. It's the best investment you could really make. So thank you again, Reed, for joining us this week.
Thank you, Jess. Really my pleasure to be here. Good job.
Oh, of course. So Health Coach Tip Tuesday, you can come here every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about tips, tools, and resources to help your health coaching business. You can join us on Facebook and YouTube, or we have replays on Instagram on Fridays. All right. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you, Reed.